Hello everyone, thank you for joining us for OCL Soundwaves Sure to Read, where Ocean County Library employees talk about what they're reading and give you some great ideas about what you might want to consider for your bookshelf at home. My name is Sherri, and I am a librarian with OCL's Public Relations Department. Today I am joined by Jamie. Jamie and I work together for the Public Relations Department for Ocean County Library. Jamie enjoys taking walks with her dog Luna, working in her veggie garden, and reading and crafting. The two books that we will be discussing today are Geek Girls Don't Cry by Andrea Towers and An Absolutely Remarkable Thing by Hank Green. Geek Girls Don't Cry is available in regular print on OCL's catalog. An Absolutely Remarkable Thing is available in regular print, book on CD, and also ebook and audiobook on Overdrive. Let's get started talking about An Absolutely Remarkable Thing. So what category or genre would you say the book fits into?
I would say it's sci-fi.
Sci-fi, okay. And if you were to describe one of the main characters for everyone listening to see whether or not they'd be interested in the book, what would you say?
The story revolves around April May. She's 23 years old. She's one of the first to document the Carls, which are these giant sculptures that appear all over the world suddenly one night. She happens to document it on her YouTube channel, and her video goes viral and propels her to sudden fame. So now April has to navigate this new fame while also trying to navigate and figure out her life. She's only 23. She's got, a lot to figure out, all while trying to also figure out what the Carls are and what they want.
Would you say that you had like a most favorite or least favorite part of the book?
I love what the book says about our lives online and internet fame, the love and hate people have for someone they've never met, how dehumanizing it can be. I just think this theme is really powerful and relevant for today with all our social online life.
Oh, absolutely. And, being viral is not always a good thing. It could throw somebody into, I'm sure you've seen like nasty comments and things like that. So it's not always what it's cracked up to be. So it's kind of cool that she weaves that into this book. And is that obvious in the book, or is it something that you just kind of took away from it?
No, it's pretty obvious because you see how she's dealing with her viral fame. She wasn't famous before this, and then all of a sudden this propelled her because she was the first one to document. Even though these things showed up all over the world, because she was the first one to document it, it kind of puts her at the forefront of the mystery of trying to figure out what they are. And so that fame makes it really hard for her to navigate life and to keep everyone happy, including the people in her life and then the people in her online life and what they expect from her.
Right. It's funny that you just said something about that she was like the first one to document. And, just in relation to the world today, I always notice that when there's like a tragedy or whatever it is, something that people are always trying to like race to be the first one to say it. On Facebook or Instagram, like they always want to be the first one to see like, rest in peace this one, or, oh, did you hear about this? And it's just so all over the place. It's everywhere you turn. It's almost like social media is just bombarding you, unless you take a step back and kind of take a break from that, it's hard to avoid. But yeah, I guess to be the actual first one to say or do something is like a noteworthy thing these days. Just amazing how things are going in this world. It's just remarkable.
Yep. It's all about that online life.
Yeah. Pretty much. So did you find yourself like racing to the end of the book, or were there parts where you were kind of like, I could put this book down and it wouldn't bother me?
Honestly, this was the kind of book where I wasn't like staying up all night reading it, but it also wasn't dragging on for me. It was one of those ones where it was like a nice pace for me. It kept me interested, but not to the point where like I couldn't sleep at night because I just had to keep reading. So it was actually really enjoyable because it had that really good pace.
Yeah, we've all read those books where we literally cannot put the book down. but it sounds like this was more, you read a little bit every day and you finish it when you finished it, and you weren't,
which is, it's nice to have those types of books.
Oh, yeah,
absolutely. As I love the other types, sometimes it's just, you can't keep reading those kinds in a row.
And you need to get sleep at some point. I've had books where I'm literally up till 3 o'clock in the morning because I'm trying to keep my eyes open so that I could get to the next part. But yeah, it is nice to have a book where you're just enjoying it and not feeling stressed out to read the entire thing.
Yeah.
So would you find yourself reading another book by this author?
Definitely. There's actually a sequel that came out last year, so I'm really excited to pick that up from the library and get started on that.
Ooh, I foresee a future sure to read episode about that book. So when you're done reading it, you got to let me know and we can schedule another one of these podcasts.
All right.
So if you could ask the author anything at all, what do you think you'd ask him?
So Hank Green, his brother is actually John Green, the really famous YA author who wrote Fault in Our Stars. So I think what I'd ask him is, his brother's famous, and he actually Hank Green had a successful vlog and social media presence before his book came out. So I guess I'd ask him, did you think about not going through with your book because of the pressure to live up to what people thought of you, because of your social media presence, but also comparing you to your brother? Did that create any kind of pressure and make you not want to go through with writing a book?
That is a great question. So Hank Green, if you are listening to this, we're dying to know the answer to that question. Feel free to weigh in on it and let us know what you think. Sounds like a good book. Definitely sounds like a 2 thumbs up that you would recommend to anybody listening looking for a good sci-fi book.
Definitely.
So the other book that you wanted to discuss with me is called Geek Girls Don't Cry. So what category would you say that book fits into?
Geek Girls Don't Cry is a nonfiction, pop culture, self-help, personal growth type of book.
Oh, very interesting. Okay. Being that it is a nonfiction, would you say that there are any life lessons that can be learned from the story? Was your outlook changed in a positive or a negative way after you read this book?
So what I really liked about this book is it's broken down into different parts, and then those parts are broken down into chapters that fit the theme of those parts. And it focuses on different fictional female characters and their battle with whatever the theme is of that section. So trauma, adversity, grief, depression, isolation. So they're fictional characters, but how they deal with these issues is what the author Andrea Towers talks about, and how you can take kind of the things in their lives and put it towards your life and think about how you go through similar things and how they kind of fight through these, obstacles that we all deal with. You think these, superheroes and these really strong female characters, the things they go through in the movies or TV series that they're in, they really do battle these same things along with the monsters and the supervillains. They are battling the everyday things that all of us battle. So it's kind of a very different and unique and interesting perspective to think about these different things like depression and adversity, the way you have to deal with them. And what I also like about this book is it's got Andrea's thoughts and her tying it to these fictional characters, but it also includes insights from psychologists.
Very interesting.
Yeah, she gets the opinions of professionals as well.
I don't think I've ever heard of a book like this. It sounds like a really unique take. So what's an example of one of the characters that she kind of picks apart and analyzes?
So my favorite is Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Oh,
She talks about Buffy Summers in the section on isolation. Because, for those who don't know, Buffy is the Vampire Slayer. There's one in every generation that is supposed to battle the demons and vampires and basically save the world. And she's the only one. There's only one at a time. So she has to deal with kind of the isolation of this is only her. She has friends, but it is still very isolating that you're the one that was given this power and you're the one who has to do this. But Buffy does find, help and solace with her friends. and it kind of helps her deal with the isolation of what being the vampire slayer is, the chosen one, while also, you know, doing what she has to do and keeping her mental health.
That's a lot of pressure for somebody. My goodness. Well, how many characters would you say in all that she analyzes throughout the book? I mean, there's got to be a number of them. Is each chapter based on a character?
Yeah, each chapter is based on a character, and there's about 25 chapters.
Wow. That had to take a long time to put together. And she must really be an aficionado of sorts of this type of these characters.
Yeah, you can tell that Andrea knows what she's talking about. She's very into pop culture. She knows a lot about all these characters. What I also found really interesting is that at the end of every section, she also did real heroes, and she focuses on authors, people in different, like, comic industries, stuff like that, and how these real females deal with the pressures from their jobs and life and everything like that, which I also really like. So not only do you get the fictional, but you also get these real people who go through these
and a real account that you could probably relate to a little bit more. You know, you could relate to the fictional characters and what they're going through, but then if she brings it back to somebody that really, in real life, is going through it, it's definitely makes it more relatable, I would think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very interesting. Do you have a favorite quote from the book that you'd want to share with us?
I do, and it's actually like right in the beginning of the book, and it kind of perfectly sums up what it's about. It says, "As a woman, I often find myself thinking about what it means when we say a female character is strong. Does it mean she can kick butt like Black Widow's introduction in the Avengers? Does it mean we can be super like Buffy Summers and her consistent saving of the world, not to mention consistent tackling of homework in Buffy the Vampire Slayer? Or maybe it means women who are deemed strong should be celebrated, not because they fight bad guys, but because in the face of issues like post-traumatic stress disorder, anxiety, and depression, they've still managed to show us how powerful and inspirational they are."
Very nice. Yeah, that's definitely something that would draw me in. So it's a good thing she put that quote in the beginning of the book.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming my next question was going to be, is this nonfiction book fun to read? Was it a little dry? Did the author need to spice things up a bit or tone them down? How would they manage that? And what are your thoughts on that?
I really enjoyed reading this. I liked how it was broken down into the parts and then those parts into chapters, because it's kind of the type of book where you don't have to read it cover to cover. You can read sections kind of as you need to. You don't have to read it all straight through.
Right.
And I really think that a self-help book based on strong female characters is a book that we kind of need to make this kind of more fun to read about.
Couldn't agree more.
Connecting it to pop culture, and it's a fun way to deal with a tough subject.
Well, and more interesting for maybe a younger crowd of women that may not be as interested in it if it weren't presented in this way.
Yeah.
I think a lot of teens would probably benefit from reading this book.
Definitely.
I mean, even, preteens might enjoy it. Especially if they're aware of the characters in the book, they can say, oh my gosh, yeah, that's kind of something that I'm going through and I didn't realize it, and makes it a little bit more relatable on, what we do go through in life and the challenges that we all face. Yeah. Do you have any other books or authors that you would recommend that write something like this?
I really like Sam Maggs. She does a lot of nonfiction and nerdy fandom love type of things. So I would recommend checking her out.
Nice. And the last question that I like to always ask, if you could ask the author anything, what would it be?
So I've actually spoken with this author before. She came to the library's Comic-Con style event, FanNation, a few years ago, where she actually presented on this book. But I think based on the book, I think what most people would want to know is who is her favorite female character.
Ooh, and she doesn't mention that in the book.
Not that I remember.
Wow.
To be honest.
All right. Andrea Towers, if you are listening to this, we would like to know, in your book, Geek Girls Don't Cry, who is your favorite character? Everybody wants to know. Speaking of FanNation, Jamie, will FanNation be taking place again in 2021 and, this year?
So for 2021, it's going to mostly be a virtual platform on our social media accounts and YouTube, along with some live programs on Zoom. And then hopefully a couple take and makes and maybe a few in-person things.
And when is that scheduled to take place, those events and activities and stuff?
It's going to be the week of November 8th.
Okay, so the week of November 8th, you have got to check out the oceancountylibrary.org. There'll be more information on there about FanNation. It's a really wonderful event. Even virtually, there's going to be tons of things available to everyone. So definitely get in there and check it out, and go visit our YouTube channel and subscribe so that you don't miss any of the good stuff that's coming up. Well, Jamie, I can't thank you enough for taking the time to meet with me and talk about these books that you enjoyed reading. Listeners, if you enjoyed this podcast, be sure to share it with family and friends. And we're also going to be publishing this podcast to our YouTube channel, which you can find at www.youtube.com/OCL video. We would love to know what our listeners are thinking. So if you have already read these books or you read them in the future, let us know what you think on the comments section of the YouTube version of this podcast. Thanks for joining us, and until next time, happy listening.